Happy Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, Allincrypto here, and welcome back, guys, for what is going to be nothing short of another jam-packed daily market update. We are going to be talking about a shift that is taking place right now, and we can derive from it a very bullish outlook for the cryptocurrency market as a whole. But before I do that, I want to share with you guys some sensational news. Just in, the US Treasury Department is now accepting Venmo and PayPal payments from those who want to donate money to reduce the nation's $36.7 trillion debt. The cheek. I mean, yeah, we're not going to go too far into it. There has been a donation program to help with this, but they've now enabled Venmo and PayPal payments, or are now accepting Venmo and PayPal payments. So if any of you fancy helping the US government with their debt, you can now do so via Venmo and PayPal. And I perhaps highlight this. I've been having some really deep thoughts recently, because I think what crypto is doing is far bigger than most people realize, even people within the cryptocurrency space. Certainly what the Bitcoin maxis really haven't got a clue. Crypto is going to enable this new one world system, and it's going to be the kind of, the crypto tokens are going to be the utility tokens of that system. There's lots of things that confirm this to me. One is the DXY, the dollar currency index, and the fact that that's about to lose a lot of ground. It's been uptrending, and they've been proliferating debt so that they can essentially accumulate assets which become almost payable currencies in themselves. I don't want to go too far down this rabbit hole, but what crypto is doing is far beyond, I think, most people's understanding of it. You know, a lot of people still look at it as funny money. You ask your average person on the street, they're still going to greet it with a lot of skepticism. There's that kind of wave of adoption to come. And even the people in the cryptocurrency space really still see it as speculative and sort of a way to get rich and make money. And I think it does provide that. But I think underlying all of that, there is truly something transformational coming, and that you're going to see another Bretton Woods moment in the sense that money is going to change again, and how we, what we use for money is going to change, and how we use it. And I do think we're going to move off a kind of dollar world reserve currency. The dollar and currencies aren't going away because you need kind of quote unquote stable currencies for daily transactions. I told you about that time I got kind of pressed a little bit at a Bitcoin conference for using fiat to pay for a coffee. They were like, "You're using fiat at a Bitcoin conference?" I'm like, "Yeah." Why would I use my Bitcoin? I think that went over many people's heads, but something monumental is coming. We're going to talk about a shift that we're seeing that signals more broadly an alt season. We've been talking about it all week, but we'll really cement that, and actually an opportunity. And what I'm looking at with ETH treasury companies that are kind of ETH strategies, if you will, really gives a bullish slant to the cryptocurrency space as a whole, and kind of confirms all the technical things we're looking at. You know, we can really piece a lot of things together here. I will be doing a meeting for my patrons tomorrow where I'm going to actually get into a kind of 1,000-foot view of everything in crypto's role in all of this. And there's certain cryptos I think stand out and were designed to enable this from the start. You know, really Peter Thiel's vision that he gave in 1990 of this kind of internet of value, where value can be used interchangeably. Really broad, interesting concept. And I know some of you listening are feeling what I'm saying here and understand where all this is going. So how Franklin Templeton's 800 million tokenization fund is spurring its blockchain strategy. Now, Franklin Templeton, massive links to XLM. Stellar Lumen's one of my favorite projects. I've not publicly revealed my price prediction for that yet, but it's insane. Big. Public blockchains are going to become the ledgers for the world and global utilities within the next 10 years. This is from Sandy Cowell, Franklin Templeton's head of innovation, told DL News in an exclusive interview. There's a tremendous amount of opportunity here. And there is indeed, Ripple, the cryptocurrency company, and Boston Consulting Group, the consultancy, estimate the entire tokenized asset market could skyrocket 8,000% to be worth $19 trillion. Everything's going to be tokenized, certainly real world assets. There's currently 24 billion in real world assets, according to our, whatever that website is. They haven't actually highlighted Hedera yet, which I find interesting. That's not on there. I wonder what their standing will be in regards to all of that. Certainly in relation to money market funds, as they've tokenized, BlackRock's, Fidelity's, Legal and some huge Aberdeen, some huge names. The entire tokenized market, stocks, funds, private credit, and government debt is worth 24 billion. The global public stock market valued at nearly 115 trillion in 2023, according to the World Economic Forum. Call chalks up this drag to regulatory hurdles. We're waiting for regulations to clarify how we can list our regulated products on crypto exchanges. Adding that after that, it's simply a matter of engaging market makers to drum up liquidity around those products. That's when you'll start to see wholesale tokenization. It's coming, guys. We're on the cusp of a major transformational change, and real world assets are just one part of it. Once you can tokenize assets, gold. So tokenization of gold. My mentor is a massive gold bug, and he's right. Gold bugs are right, essentially. But there's a whole host of things going on there. One of the limiting factors of gold is it's kind of not utility, I guess utility, but portability. It's why people went kind of, and how we ended up with a gold standard was people were like, okay, well, we'll just take this note instead that we can just easily transact with people. Well, if you tokenize that, yes, okay, but the option of self-custody still exists, and that's kind of one of the principles of being a gold bug. You hold your own money, and there's drawbacks to that also, in the sense that somebody can come and take it from you, which of course is illegal in most places. If you tokenize gold, well, actually now you unlock this whole other utility to it. The same applies for stocks and things like that. Now, actually, you could use them directly as a form of payments or to settle global trade. You might not have any faith in the US government and their proliferating system. You might have faith in a company. You might have faith in gold. Well, now you have that opportunity to perhaps, with tokenization, use and utilize it to more of a degree. And this is part of forming this internet of value that is coming. This is Peter Thiel's vision. We've not even spoken about the global shift taking place right now, or the shift taking place in regards to alt season. This is all over the news. We covered this. The massive BTC sell-off is over. Galaxy announced that they have completed the sale of 80,000 Bitcoin, $9 billion plus from the Satoshi era investor. People were coming up with all kinds of conspiracies on this 80,000, and they were wrong. This was Galaxy Digital. You can see here what they've done with it, and in my opinion, this is likely so that they can buy Ethereum, as potentially signaled by Mike Novogratz, who we're going to hear from now. And what we're seeing is a shift towards Ethereum as an outperformer, and ETHStrategies, kind of micro strategies, but for Ethereum forming, and they look hella bullish, which means Ethereum's going to do well, which we think it's going to do also, and that means a great time for alt season generally. And actually, I am looking at some opportunities in the stock market. I hold stocks, some stocks that have done insane for us. They made our targets, big targets, 400+% up. Coinbase, we hold some Bitcoin miners. We also hold a variety of quantum computing stocks. We're looking at EV stocks. Obviously, Tesla's the big one. Silver mining stocks, and now we're looking at Ethereum strategy stocks that I think could do well, but they give us a bullish slant on things. I'll talk about that quickly. So we know Mike Novogratz is behind that 80,000. Some people were coming up with all sorts of conspiracies behind this. They've all been null and void now. Listen to what Mike Novogratz said, and this is sort of symbiotic of the shift that we're seeing and the shift towards more of a broad alt season. And we can derive from what kind of strategy, ETHStrategy-like stocks are going to do, that the markets generally are going to do well, which we already know based on technical analysis. Let's dive into this.
What do you make of some of the other coins? So Ether, we just had somebody on this week putting together the equivalent of an Ether micro-strategy of sorts in terms of a leveraged bet that other people are going to be able to buy into. Also, everything's getting tokenized. We've talked about stable coins. Right now, if you could buy Ether or Bitcoin, which do you buy?
You know, I own both. Listen, Ether's caught up a lot. It feels like if ETH takes out 4,000, it goes into price discovery. And so we feel kind of destined to at least knock on the 4,000 ceiling a few times. The narrative of Ether is really powerful, and the market was really short. And now we have not just, one, we have two major ETH treasury companies and another one coming, and they're raising capital every day and buying Ether. And so there's not a lot of supply of ETH. And so I think ETH probably has a chance to outperform Bitcoin in the next 3 to 6 months.
So Ethereum, I personally believe it is going to do well. We've highlighted the fact that we believe it's essentially got we'll talk about Bitcoin in just a second. Let's pull up Ethereum. A Bitcoin-esque run ahead of it. So we compared Ethereum today to where Bitcoin was in the last bull market just before it really took off. Just to show you that quickly, one of the few people to do this. And as a result of this, I think what you're going to see is a major run for Ethereum. And Ethereum strategy stock's doing well, and that's going to sort of cause a FOMO. There's an opportunity there. But the interesting thing for us as I think Ethereum essentially is Yahoo. But the interesting, and you'll get the analogy there, the interesting thing, and you'll see other strategies around altcoins form in terms of companies. But the interesting thing is we're now seeing that shift from Bitcoin to Ethereum. This is really alt season underway. And of course, you guys know where we think the total market cap, excluding Bitcoin, of course, is heading. And that's to around about 6.3 trillion. Ethereum's going to make up a good part of that. You're also going to see other altcoins sort of catch up. And this is what we're waiting for on this cup and handle. Guys, subscribe to this channel. There's very few that kind of correlate everything like this. But we're starting to see that shift. ETH open interest on CME futures is gone insane on the back end of this shift. Ethereum is the third, or ETH is the third most fast growing ETF to 10 billion in history. 5 of that 10 billion took place in the last 10 days. And there was a record short interest on Ethereum. The market is still short. We did cover that actually earlier this week. It's all going to sort of lead into this blow off. And I think there's a real opportunity in Ethereum strategy-esque stocks, if you get what I mean. Certainly Bitmine Inversion Tech. BMNR is one. This is actually backed by Peter Thiel. I think he owns a good stake in this. It might be a 9% stake, perhaps. But we're seeing other companies sell. There's also some crypto plays that I looked at long time ago, technically, and they were giving insane price predictions. I was like, this doesn't make sense. These are like, kind of ghost ships. But they hold Ethereum. We can maybe explore that. Certainly I'm going to explore that with the patrons. But this all gives us, if you look at something like, I'll show you one. BMNR, actually one of my patrons was highlighting, we released a falling wedge course, this falling wedge, pre-break. It's very compliant in regards to what we look for falling wedges. I personally can see well over a 20-30x for this, and that puts a very bullish slant on Ethereum, which we already have, which puts a bullish slant on the overall market. I still think Bitcoin really excels in this context based on technically what we're looking at, and I do think we are literally looking at the breaking down of BTC dominance. The one thing that we were looking at with you guys last time was this kind of head and shoulders, and this would kind of signal phase 3, which is a topping phase for a market and a downtrend to ensue. That means Bitcoin's going up. It just means that altcoins are going up substantially faster. So there's a shift taking place. We're noticing it. It's evident. There's opportunities, I believe, in the ETH kind of treasury market. Really, if you're not interested in ETH, and I'm not interested, I think, like I say, ETH is Yahoo, essentially. I think other cryptocurrencies are far better. It has that network effect, but will it forever? But I do think Ethereum's narrative, certainly with the strategies, it's going to do well. That's going to propagate the whole market. More broadly, what we spoke about at the start is there's something far greater than most people, and we're not trying to insult anybody in saying that people don't grasp this, but the world does not grasp what crypto is going to enable. It's going to essentially see this new Bretton Woods moment take place, where actually the monetary system globally changes to one that essentially is ran upon the rails of crypto, and tokenization and all this stuff is all a part of that. Guys, I'm going to love and leave you. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. If you want to get involved in tomorrow's Patreon meeting and catch up on the quick update I gave Friday talking about this in a little bit more detail, do so. Yeah, that's it from me. Have a smashing Saturday, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.